Welcome in to the Paydirt Profile Podcast. This is Dante. I'm here with
Tony,
Jamar,
and Kyle.
And we're going to get into episode 7. We're going to talk a little bit about some more of the free agency moves that have happened since last Wednesday. That was March 18th. But before we do that, we want to just remind everybody you can find us on the Sounder app. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox, and Spotify. So we everywhere, guys.
Let's go. Find on them Apple Podcasts.
As always, you can also find us on our social medias, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook at the Paydirt Profile. And you can also discuss, all the different happenings in sports and other things at the podcast group, the Paydirt Profile Podcast. Before we get started, how do we feel about this Rams logo?
Rams logo is pretty much the Chargers logo.
Hold on.
It's just the Chargers logo with an ugly skull.
There you go. Oh, I thought she was about to be disrespectful.
No, just to the Rams. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, it's the new. What is that? Oh, I legitimately thought it was the new Chargers logo.
It could have been.
You think
it's super close. If you just change the horn and the bolt, change it more to a bolt, it could be.
Do you think they did that on purpose? LA
steal
Unified.
The Chargers shine?
Huh?
Are they trying to steal the Chargers
No,
shine?
not steal it, but become like a, I don't know, maybe make it a unified LA thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
just make it similar.
They have the same colors though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They went to the more royal blue. It's not great.
It's weird.
But who spent all the money? They spent some time and some money getting that logo right. And who got paid for that?
The worst part is not who got paid for it, it's who didn't get paid for it. NFL Memes came out with this, and I listened to some podcasts that talked about it too. In 10 minutes, they had already fixed the logo. It already looked better. It was how did you have these dudes not getting paid, do your job for you? I wouldn't even be mad if the Rams just decided, you know what? Hey, guys, we're going to float some money your way, and we're going to use your stuff. I don't know, man.
Didn't someone else do that? Didn't a team do it? I think the Chargers did it. Was that a couple years ago?
Man, leave my team out of this. Is this how this podcast going to go?
Didn't someone float a logo out?
Is this how today's going to go?
I don't remember what team it was, though.
I think you might be right, though.
You're about to get
be
It
right,
didn't look good, and then they switched it back. I don't know if that was the Chargers or not. It may have been the NBA, too.
I mean, I think there's a lot of talented people out there who are working on logos and working on designs that, if you do have someone do the work and it comes out and it's not good, these fans that are paying all the money, if it's not good and then another artist comes out and does a better job, you can't have the pride to be let's stick with this trash logo. If there's a better one out there, it's a sunk cost, but hey, you're making billions of dollars. Go out there to that other person, ask for the rights for it, and then move forward. We're not going to sit here and say every single team needs to do that, but sometimes you have to have the balls to make that move.
Why spend all the money? There's so many talented people out there. 10 minutes it took.
I know, right?
Good logos.
Right?
Hey,
did they not crowdsource this?
We'll give you a couple $1,000 and some season tickets. All right, cool.
Call it a day.
You don't want to accept that? We'll just get something else.
That's how Dan Bilzerian built his logo. He put it up on Instagram hey, everybody send me your logos of my brand. If I pick yours, I'll give you $10,000. Yeah. And he had 2,000 submissions.
Cheaper, easier.
Free labor.
And you got the sickest one. You didn't have to go with one agency. I'm sure they gave him 25 different versions to start, but you're just betting on one artist. You're in LA. You should have used the street artists and stuff that were out there too. Involve the community more. Make it a contest. Make it something to have their hats hung on. But
right.
And it's trash. It's they tried to go too modern. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it.
Well, while we're on the subject of LA, we had 2 pretty big moves since the last time we spoke. We had Todd Gurley get cut by the Rams and get signed by my Atlanta Falcons. Let's go. And then we had Melvin Gordon get signed by the Denver Broncos. Resident Charger fan, Jamar, how you feel about this Melvin Gordon signing? What do you think it means for the team, and what does it mean for the Broncos?
I mean, you know me. Me and Melvin have had issues in the past. I haven't been the biggest Melvin Gordon fan since the beginning, and with all the stuff that kind of happened in the offseason and into the regular season last year with him holding out, good riddance. Good luck to you, sir. I feel like I don't know. I forgot. I think I read an article that he had another offer or two on the table, and that dude purposely chose. He did it on purpose.
Yep.
And I can't hate on it. We went to Denver for a reason. He's gonna want to come at us hard.
He's going off on you guys.
He
bro.
is. Well, I don't know if he's gonna go off on us, but he's gonna come with it. So I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting season to watch. I'm looking forward to watching those games, and I think it kind of brings that rivalry back. When people talk about the Chargers, they really talk about as a rival. You're talking about the Raiders, but when you add in other teams in that division, I think it's gonna bring some more excitement to those games.
What do you guys think that means for Royce Freeman or for their offense? Because they liked him, they took him relatively early. I mean, when you have a guy who is paired with one other player with a specific skill set in Phillip Lindsay, and then you bring in a free agent who's making, pretty sizable money. I think it's $8 million a year, but does exactly what you do. It only means that you're probably going to be that odd man out.
Right. When you look at the stats, Lindsay had 224 carries. Royce Freeman had 132, and he wasn't the pass game back. Mm-hmm. So you've got to assume that he's going to lose most of those carries unless they want to limit Lindsay somehow running the ball inside. But they did a lot of good stuff with him. He was a good back for him. But I think the one who's going to lose all the touches is Freeman. Mm-hmm. Could have some sneaky fantasy value. Melvin's not always been healthy. And Lindsay, who knows how long he can actually keep this up. He's been very good, but he's still on a rookie contract. They may try and run him into the ground. Mm-hmm. And you could leave Freeman in a good spot if they're able to hold on to him. Because he's still on the rookie deal also.
Right,
Third round pick. He's probably going to be near the end of his deal as well.
Yeah. Like you, Johnny.
I think it's interesting. I'm surprised Melvin, if he really did pick to go there and he had other offers on the table, that he chose there. I don't really know anything about Denver. I don't know, they got rid of Joe Flacco. I don't even know who their starting quarterback is. There's some inconsistencies in that offense that, and some unknowns that, hey, if he was sold, and he went and got his money, but I don't think that would have been my first choice. But
Drew Lock played well at times down the end, but it's got to be a money thing. I don't think he held out, kind of lost a job to Eckler.
Yeah, lost $2 million too.
Yeah,
if he could.
So maybe that was just one year $8 million. Is that what it was? Let me get
it's
this
1 or 2 years.
Wait, for Melvin?
Yeah.
2 years.
No, it's 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years, but get the money. Hopefully you're healthy out of it and get one more contract.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. Because obviously if he wants to compete, I don't think that's the team you want to go to.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Is it just doesn't seem like a team that's, in the new playoff format, yeah, maybe they squeak into the playoffs, but it doesn't seem, it's definitely not the championship team that you were going to. They were 7-9 last year, so they in the new format they could squeak in, but it doesn't seem like a powerhouse that he goes in there and he's that last piece or almost the last piece, like a Gurley into Atlanta.
Well, he could have gone to Houston. Well, Houston, if they had any brains running that, they could have gone there and kept Hopkins, unless they're just dead set on giving him away.
Yeah.
You could have gone there, had them both. Don't have to take the David Johnson deal. They're very similar backs in terms of how they'd fit in offenses.
But how much do you think that the David Johnson deal influenced Melvin Gordon? Because we saw all of those teams that needed running back, and I want to give Melvin Gordon and his agent perceived credit, because what it looked like was they wanted the market to kind of go the way that it was going to go, let teams kind of make some moves, and then he's the best player on the market. So then now he can kind of make a couple of demands when it comes to, a bidding war. If there are 3 teams left with running back needs and he's the only good running back, then he created a market for himself. Todd Gurley, on the other hand, came out, same thing, but at the end of the day, like, most of the running back needs had dried up. So,
Todd Gurley had already stolen $40 million from the Rams too, so the money grab wasn't necessarily there either.
Oh my God, I was listening to a podcast. I think it was Draft Dudes. They were talking about how Todd Gurley is going into his 6th year. So when you're a first-round pick, you have your 4 years and your team option. They gave him the deal before he even needed to get re-signed. He's not going to play a single down on the extension and guaranteed money that they gave him. All that extra $40 million that they gave him, it was like a parting gift. Thank you. Go be on another team. If this was going to happen, and unfortunately this might happen to other prospects now, you're just going to see teams play you for 4. If you decide to sit out, they're going to chunk the deuces. They're going to let you sit out your year, and then you're going to hit free agency, and you're going to hope you're going to get more money. You might get lucky like Melvin Gordon and get your $8 million, $9 million or so, but I think the double-digit, years of contracts are going to get saved for Saquon, maybe Alvin Kamara, but I would say Saquon and McCaffrey. Outside of that, I don't know when the next running back's going to make double-digit $1 million.
But you shouldn't have given him the extension in the first place, right? They jumped the gun because they were looking too far ahead.
Twice.
Yeah, yeah, twice with Goff too. So they jumped the gun, and all of a sudden they realized, hey, this guy's hurt, and like you say, he stole all that money. Basically, he gets to go play on a prove-it deal in Atlanta, and if he plays well, he's going to get paid again.
Well, and props to him and his agent. I was reading, like, his agent set that contract up, like, really well. They only had, like, 2 days to decide, or 3 days into the new league year to decide if they were going to have him on their team or not. And if he was on the team that 3rd day, he got a guaranteed $10 million full, like, in his pocket. So they had to move quick on him. Like, they had to make the move and make the roster and let him walk, or they're paying him, and but they're paying him no matter what. So that's a smart move on the agent's part too.
But in hindsight, he was one of the best running backs in the league, right? He was in the conversation. Yeah. He got hurt. He has that knee deal.
But you wait 1 year, like they, like he wasn't even in a holdout pattern yet. Like he was still in year 3 when they gave him the new deal. Like, you waited that end of the 4th year when his knee blew up, and there's no way you write that new contract for the money. Like, you're paying him. You're saying,
especially at that position as a running back.
Yeah,
exactly.
But hindsight's 2020 though. Like, are you not going to pay McCaffrey right now? Like we're looking at basically the same trajectory of, like, strong rookie season, gets a little bit better, meteoric type of rise, best in the league conversation. Like, are you not paying Christian McCaffrey? I mean, he's talking about holding out right now, and his team is not going to be competitive. So, they could stand to have him hold out, because if he holds out, it actually does them a favor, helps them with their draft, picks. But if you're talking about a team who's trying to win, how can you not pay the best player on your team and arguably one of the best players in the league? Like, I think it just worked out that way that he got hurt. But, like, are you seriously not going to pay McCaffrey?
But you could do the Le'Veon Bell, drag him out for a couple of years, get what you need out of it, and this league's not built for running back contracts. Go find another guy. But because when do we think that the Panthers, in their timeline, think they're going to be ready to win?
Not soon.
Nowhere.
So you drag him out as one of those guys. If he continues to play well, he's going to age well in the league. Mm-hmm. He's a good receiving back. He should have a long career. Not talking about injuries or anything, but he could drag that out into 6-7 with the tag. If they don't like it, just let him go.
Yeah.
Or you finish them with, give them a lifetime deal, because make it a little longer, save some money somewhere, and hopefully when you're competitive, he's still playing.
Yeah.
Package deal. Go on, bring Cam to San Diego or Los Angeles, whatever. Bring him to the Chargers, and then bring McCaffrey with him. Let's go. Let's go.
You love that one.
But I mean, I think from a team perspective, like I can't find it right now, but I'm pretty sure the new CBA has a higher, more stricter penalty too for holding out. Like they can fine you like $40,000 a day, and like
that's chump change though.
That's
chump change for
not on a rookie deal though.
But it also
not as much.
It also had something in there, a clause of like if you miss like more than 5 days, then your league year doesn't count. So like
more than how many days?
It was like a super small number. I forget the exact number. I'm trying to find it, but it was a very small number.
These people are just gonna fake being hurt though.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the way around it. But I'm just like, there was a new clause in there. Like I said, I wish I could find where I saw that, but it was a very small amount of time that you had to hold out without permission, that your league year does not count anymore. So if you hold out for the season, or hold out for training camp, like there's potential that your league year doesn't count.
But when has being a holdout really helped that much? There's obviously going to be cases, but like most of the time, you come into the season late, you're out of shape. Zeke, yeah.
I think you haven't seen it work out because you have a small sample size. Like basically every player who holds out is either signed later on, or they go elsewhere. And if you're not going to pay them, they want to go elsewhere. They want to go to a team that's going to pay them, or they want to get paid. Now, we haven't really seen the contrary to where somebody holds out, the team doesn't pay them, and another team doesn't pay them, and then now their career is over. I don't remember the last time I saw that. Not with a premier guy, because you saw that with, like over-the-hill kind of guy like Albert Hainsworth and some other types of dudes that weren't really premier players anymore. But we're talking about the top of the top right now.
The middle-tier guy's not going to hold out.
Right. But we're just talking about the top of the class, because the middle tier guys, they got to get what they get. They probably were a 3rd round pick. They don't have the leverage to hold out.
Yeah.
Like David Johnson, he was one of those types of players where he got that deal early. If he wasn't going to get that deal, what was he going to hold out for? He's a 3rd round pick. Like he didn't have that leverage like McCaffrey does, Saquon Barkley does.
Because they have that in between, but all those guys are going to get paid in the end.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
You would hope so. I mean, I'm really excited about Gurley this year. I mean, I'm sure all the Falcons fans are talking about it. I mean, he is a dynamic player. Injury aside, he can still score from up close. He can still accelerate. He can still pass block. One of the best pass blocking backs in the league. He's going to have a lot of open space to try to run with. He had a subpar season last year, but a subpar season matched with 14 total touchdowns on a pretty poor team. So if the Falcons are healthy and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, in theory he should be in a better spot to succeed. So hopefully we're looking back here a year from now. Hopefully we can have a successful year, and maybe he gets re-signed, or maybe he goes off and he makes money somewhere else.
Yeah, he's super underrated in the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good receiver. If it doesn't pan out, it's a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
It does pan out, they're going to have to pay him. But what they really need to do is stop throwing the ball so much.
Oh, yeah.
The Matt Ryan stat train, the Matt Ryan steal all your money, leave no cap room, Matt Ryan, that's got to stop.
Take less, please. Please.
Yeah, they just want to throw the ball too much. Julio's really good. I think he's the best receiver in the league. Ridley's good. You're going to lose some of those tight end targets, presumably. But run the ball, please.
That's okay.
So here it is.
Throw it to Calvin.
3rd, the player will lose in a cured season toward free agency by failing to show up for camp on time or by leaving camp for more than 5 days. This would suspend the rule that removes an accrued year only if the player fails to report within 30 days before the first game of the regular season.
Ooh, like you said, I guess we'll have to really see how that works, because if that language is how we are perceiving it to be, this perceived McCaffrey holdout that he's talking about, or people are talking about on his behalf, like, it may not happen. I mean, if he wants to get to free agency, I still think it might be fine for him to hold out. Just hold out. Let the team be trash. Like, you have a decent amount of money. His family's an NFL family. He's probably good with his money. He stays in good shape. Just sit out the season. If that's going to be the case, sit out the season. Let them be better, and hopefully they'll be willing to pay you when they actually can use you.
But then why'd they sign Teddy Bridgewater?
New coach thinks that's the path.
But what's the point? He got 7-year deal or a lot of money.
Right.
This is a build for him. But that guy Matt Rule he builds programs.
Mm-hmm.
Got Temple, Baylor. Gonna get the shot here with time.
So what if Teddy Bridgewater is an insurance policy, bridge quarterback, backup quarterback, all rolled into one? Like, you take a guy who has a pretty good reputation around the league. We're all not huge fans of his as far as being a franchise quarterback outside of Tony, who loves his Teddy Two gloves.
Teddy Two gloves.
But we can say that he is a reasonable potential starting quarterback. He can start for you this year. He can be the bridge if you get a Tua, or you get a Herbert who may not be able to play day one, or you get a Jordan Love. If you get a guy next year who may not be able to come in right away, Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a day one guy.
Take for Trevor Lawrence.
I mean,
which I'm fine with, but why not just go down with Kyle Allen or Will Grier?
And I think that you can do that if you play PJ Walker. PJ Walker just got signed, and I think you can do that perfectly by playing him, seeing if he's anything. If he's nothing, then you tank and you have a trash season. If he's good, then he's good. You have a trade chip. I think Teddy Bridgewater is just more insurance than anything. If your job's on a hot seat, you're playing Teddy Bridgewater, a formidable starter. He's only there for a short term. I mean, all the money that they're going to give him, most of the guarantees are probably up front, and he could probably get cut year 2 with no huge issues, and year three probably pretty easily.
How long is his contract?
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. The coach's contract was 7.
Yeah. But it's I guess. But this doesn't work out for Teddy. He's a career backup, right?
Yeah.
I already think that
this is his one and only shot.
But unless no one else wanted him. He said, "Here's a 5-year deal."
The Vikings should have re-signed him and let Kirk Cousins walk, because it would have saved them. It would have saved them millions of dollars.
They're at worst the same quarterback, right?
Yeah, but how much is Kirk Cousins making?
Well, this year it's only $22 million against cap.
Down.
Oh, they knocked it down. Yeah, but you can't do that with a new contract, though. You can do that with an extension, but like if we're talking about you were going to sign Kirk Cousins off the street. His cap number is 30+ million.
But Kirk Cousins winning playoff games. Kirk Cousins won a playoff game.
He won a playoff game?
Yeah.
In year 2?
Yeah.
That's not worth $12 million to me.
That's 60 million. One playoff game is 60 million.
When you're a team that is running in defense,
you
just want to keep bringing new guys in because it's
Case Keenum also won a playoff game.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Go get Case Keenum.
He just signed 3 years, but he signed with his old coach, though.
Yeah. That was smart for him.
Well, no, it wasn't.
Case Keenum just signed with the Browns.
Pat was Shermer.
Stefanski.
Yeah.
Was
he the
OC?
QB? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, you can have that, but he won those games. He's going to ask for money, right? He comes off of when he wants money.
And then you don't give it to him.
That's fine. Who's better, Kirk Cousins or Case Keenum?
Kirk Cousins, but I don't want $12 more million. I mean,
but you're not paying anyone else. You got rid of Diggs. You cut all your corners.
Can't afford to pay anyone else.
Yeah, you can. They're gonna have plenty of money. The cap went up $10 more million.
We'll see.
They have extra money now that they signed them.
Well, right now, yes. That they gave him an extension, yes.
They're not paying roads.
They did the voodoo magic where you move money into next year and make it disappear, and all of a sudden his cap number is lower and you can sign more people.
But there's stuff to be said about playing with the same quarterback and having stuff be the same year after year.
I agree.
Maybe he's not Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But there's not many are.
Are you looking forward to playing Kyler Murray every year?
For what? To pay him?
Yeah.
At this point, no.
But why?
Because he's on rookie contract. We don't have to.
You're going to have to sign him eventually, and having him year to year, like, there's something to say about that, though, right?
Yeah, but shit, every year is going to be bad. but what if, let's just say...
I just got him to say he wants to re-sign Kyler Murray. Let's go.
So year five, when Kyler Murray's asking for $33 million.
If he can carry the team for $33 million, yeah. But we're talking about $22 million Kirk Cousins.
If he's won one playoff game.
No, you got to talk about $33 million Kirk Cousins.
That's fine.
Because next year it's 33.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. In the last 2 years, it's been 33.
But so okay
year five, Kyler Murray has won one playoff game. One playoff game. You're gonna pay him $33 million a year.
No, but no one's gonna give him $33 million a year.
You don't know that.
They gave it to Kirk.
Yeah, but he was winning.
All the new quarterbacks.
Not before he. Not
in
before
Washington?
He was good in Washington.
But that's why they franchise tagged him multiple years.
The guy made more money than anyone in the league.
I know, but that was a moot point. They franchised him because they didn't believe in him.
No, because the Grudens are idiots. They think they're quarterback
no
people.
Disagreement.
They think they're quarterback people, and their quarterbacks always suck. They think too highly of themselves. He was a good player. He was competent for them. If they would have just paid him, he'd be on a manageable contract for all of us, right?
Yeah.
We go, okay, he signed 5 years, 75. You take that all day. But they drug him out. He continued to play well. They did the little stat padding deal. And all of a sudden, he's got really good stats. That's why he got the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes in and he's good for the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
A team that pays one receiver. They have old tight end. They want to pay their line. They pay their defense, and they're good. Right? They win a playoff game. There's teams who would take that.
Yeah.
Or do you want to go out and who are you going to go get? You want to roll it back with Teddy Bridgewater?
No, absolutely not. Only Tony does.
Yeah.
That was more of a joke earlier. But I mean about the money savings. I mean, if you can get a guy who can play at a B to B minus level, and you have a guy who's playing at a B plus level, but you can save $12 million, I think it's a smart move to make, especially if you're going to be in the business of getting rid of your best weapons around your team. I don't know what the Vikings are doing, if they're kind of just holding right now because their defense is still pretty solid. They still have, a strong running game, solid tight ends. Adam Thielen is still really great. I don't know.
It made sense to bring Kirk back this year because there's no one else to give money to. Like, there's no one else that you needed to. And like you said, we saved $9 million or whatever it was against the cap space. But I don't know. I don't even know how we got to this topic.
I know, right? Hey, completely off the rails. Yeah. Completely off the rails.
But that's what these are supposed to be.
I know, right? It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be all the debates.
Is Todd Gurley going to be good in Atlanta, or is he going to limp his way through? How's your line?
Our line, I think we were top 15 last year. I think we were like 11 or 12. We have, hopefully we get everybody healthy. Probably have Carpenter start at left guard. We have Lindstrom and McGarry starting at right guard and right tackle. We should be stronger than what the Rams were. And last year, you look at Todd Gurley had about 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Devontae Freeman had about 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Devontae Freeman, I would say, and I think a lot of Falcons would say, was formidable for what he was and what he brought to the team, but lacked explosiveness. He lacked the presence for a defense to really be afraid of you. And Todd Gurley played on the 29th worst run blocking offensive line last year. I feel like Devontae Freeman caught a lot of check downs, a lot of kind of garbage time yards. If you give those yards to Todd Gurley, who rushed for 800 yards, last year, he's all of a sudden looking at 1,400 yards, 14 total touchdowns. Like, we're having a different argument here. So like, if I'm gonna make a estimation, like, I'm assuming he's probably going to be close to like 1,400 total and probably 10 to 12 touchdowns. I don't think the touchdowns are going to go anywhere. I think he can continue to fall in. He's one of the more efficient guys. As long as he doesn't have a big time injury, we're still going to give the ball to Ito Smith, still going to give the ball to Brian Hill. Like, I don't see why he wouldn't be successful.
Well, what was that thing that I sent you? You have like 11 first-round picks or something on your team right now?
Yep. We had 10, and then we traded for Laquan Treadwell, who I think Kyle and I both think that as a college prospect, he was a really strong prospect. For whatever reason, he lost every ounce of confidence he had and couldn't catch the ball. Had trouble staying healthy at times, had trouble running routes at times. But yeah, I mean, all we're going to ask him to do is be big slot, run block, catch the ball in a couple of spaces, break a few tackles here and there. I think that he'll be fine. But yeah, he's the last piece to give us the 11 for 11 first round picks.
That's a pretty crazy stat. When
another meaningless record we got.
another unbelievable Madden roster.
I know. So,
you set up any Madden roster with 11 first round picks and you destroy.
Oh man, we're killing the game, right? At least on paper.
Yep.
All right, well, we're running a little bit long, so we're gonna hit a couple of these free agency additions since we last spoke. Stop me if there's anything that really stands out to you guys. We had cornerback Byron Jones. He signed with Miami for 5 years. Robert Quinn. The Chicago Bears, I don't know what they're doing right now, but they signed him for 5 years, $70 million. He's 30. He's 30 years old, and they had a young pass rusher. On top of trading for that Foles contract, maybe they get a couple years.
He's trying to save his job. Matt Nagy's out after bad this year.
Yeah,
right. Him and Trubisky.
Yeah, it's failed.
And they're tied.
Let Trubisky go. Let him go.
Yeah.
He's not
throwing the ball out. It's over if they don't play well.
Well, I think you're right. They need to let Trubisky go, but they can't because he's tied to Trubisky. Everybody continues to say, you took Trubisky in a draft where you could have taken Deshaun Watson, you could have taken Patrick Mahomes.
But is he still tied to him if he's able to make Nick Foles work?
No, it saves him enough.
I think you're right. I think it saves him.
But that's his guy also. Foles was his guy in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work, it's like maybe it's a you problem.
Yeah.
He's trying to be too fancy with all his bullshit.
Yeah.
Give the ball when you got a good running back.
Give it to David Montgomery.
Give it to Allen Robinson.
David Montgomery and Allen Robinson, both of them. I got them on fantasy.
They're trying to gadget Tariq Cohen into some sort of role.
Leave that man in the past.
Yeah, get him out. All right, we talked about Teddy Bridgewater, 3 years at Carolina. Andres Pete, he got re-signed New Orleans for 5 years. It was a great deal for them. Joe Schobert, underrated signing, 5 years to Jacksonville. DJ Reader, another underrated signing. Cincinnati, 4-year deal. Kyle Van Noy going to Miami from New England, 4 years.
That's one of those New England things. Those coaches leave and then they get all the players that they
they coached.
They coached, and then all of a sudden they end up back in New England because it doesn't translate all the time.
And the Lions are doing the same thing too. I think Patricia signed Trey Flowers. I'm sure we'll get down here. They're signing more people. I think it's a great thing to have connections with guys. And they talked about Matt Rule signing PJ Walker, who we coached at Temple, signing Robbie Anderson.
That's a good signing.
You know,
I guess if you're trying to be good.
Yeah. Which they're not trying to, so I don't know why you make a good signing like Robbie Anderson, but that's another Temple guy. And maybe you sign Robbie Anderson now in hopes that you can extend him when you have an actual good roster. You say, hey, we gave you this money up front when we were bad. We gave you your stats. And then now that we actually have guys, we want you to be a team guy. And, you know, maybe they can sign him to something, you know, more friendly later. But, you know, those connections I think mean a lot. But I mean, it's interesting to see it continue to happen. We touched on Tom Brady to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, huge one. Dante Fowler Jr. 3 years to Atlanta, which I had no idea we had the cap space to make that happen. But hopefully it works out. He's a strong player. Graham Glasgow to Denver. James Bradbury to the New York Giants, 3 years. He's stealing money, bro. Julio Jones torched that man so many times, and they tried to say he was the next Josh Norman. He's the replacement. Like, nah, bro. Jet Jones lets you have it over and over and over again. $300, have some. So, I mean, there's been some other pretty strong signings.
How about Devin Funchess to Green Bay?
Why,
bro? How many of those Devin Funchess type receivers do they already have?
Everyone, all of them.
Except for Dante.
Yeah, he's legit, but everyone else
6'4", 6'5",
tall dudes. Funchess can't catch. He keeps finding money somehow in this league.
Yeah, that dude is interesting.
Can't catch. He's not good.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, what time? How much we got? Were you wrapping it up?
No. We got a couple minutes.
Has Detroit done anything? Like, I feel like Detroit is a team that's not really that good, but yet they've only made themselves worse. Like,
so they've made some under the radar moves. They got rid of Slay. They picked up Devontae or Desmond Trufant. Chase big time signing. I know they made a couple of moves. Let me pull this up really quick. They made a couple of moves here and there. They got Jamie Collins from New Orleans, or not New Orleans, New England. Nick Williams, defensive tackle. Danny Shelton from New England. Re-signed Miles Killebrew. Signed Jaron Curse. So it looks like a lot of the moves that they're making are kind of going under the radar because they're depth kind of moves. They're signing guys who, you know, are going to be special teams guys or guys who are going to be rotation guys, like guys who are going to start for you this year and then maybe won't start for you next year. So I haven't seen very many splashes, but like I think it's better that they don't have splashes. If your team is not in position to win, don't sign dudes to big old contracts. You know, make sure to give yourself that flexibility. But yeah, I see what you mean. They've been real quiet. They've been real quiet.
And they haven't been good for a while. Like, I can't even remember. When was the last time they were in the playoffs?
I don't know if I was born.
Has Stafford made the playoffs?
I don't. Did they play against the Cowboys in the playoffs once? Didn't they?
I don't know.
Weren't they like a bad Brandon Pettigrew play away from beating them? Like it was the most egregious pass interference. I don't know if that was a playoff game or not. I think it might have been. It was. They were throwing. It was relatively late in the game. They were trying to throw a pass to Brandon Pettigrew. It was the most clear pass interference you've ever seen.
You mean Stat Padford was throwing the ball?
Shocker.
Without any winning? Steal all the money?
Stealing all the money.
Oh, man.
You'd rather have him or Kirk Cousins.
Wild cards.
Man.
What's the money? What's
Same
the
money,
money?
don't matter,
Same money? Give me Kirk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Give me Kirk.
Exactly.
Yep.
There's worse situations in this Kirk Cousins deal.
Yeah.
There is for sure.
We're trashing Kirk, but I mean, it's more so for the fun of it. I mean, he is a quality football player. He is accurate. He can,
He's a proven NFL quarterback.
Exactly. He can do all the things you want to do. It would be great if you didn't have to pay a guy the same amount of money that you're going to pay a Russell Wilson because he's not the same player. But for the time being, when your team, doesn't really have money to go elsewhere, like it's not going to kill you.
How about the XFL signings? A couple guys from the XFL.
I mean, I think it's beneficial for them. It kind of worked out, like, the whole quarantine stuff and, shutting down all the leagues. Like, as unfortunate as that's been, you see a lot of guys who are injured, who haven't been able to take physicals. And so you haven't had teams be able to bring some of these NFL free agents in, but they've been able to see these XFL guys, light it up, albeit against, lesser competition. But it's built in that you're going to get a lesser contract for those guys. Like, that you're going to be able to get them without, having to break the bank. So you're more willing to potentially take a flyer on a dude that you might not have seen play.
Well, I mean, the top XFL guys, like, this is sadly kind of the best thing that could happen to them, because the XFL ending last week or whenever it did, officially ended and they let all their contracts go. Like, that was the best thing that could have happened, because it was pre-free agency.
It kind of legitimizes what they're doing too.
Right.
Yeah. You're able to get guys, especially quarterbacks, into at least NFL rosters.
Right.
Because I think that's the one thing with the AAF. It didn't get guys. There was a couple guys here and there, but legitimately it wasn't getting guys into NFL camps, which is really the only main goal.
Yeah.
Right. Showcase yourself, get into a camp, hopefully you can make a roster.
Yeah.
And I actually think Philip Walker or PJ Walker, he should be able to make that roster, unless you're sold on the Kyle Allen stuff. Will Greer's washed. And then Kansas City, they got Teamu.
Yeah, and I think he's a dynamic type of quarterback, so it kind of fits with what they like to do with Mahomes. Like, I don't know
Potential backup, maybe.
Yeah, like, I don't know if he makes the roster as the backup, but as a practice squad guy who can, maybe develop into that backup. It's always good to be in line with your backup quarterback and your starting quarterback. I think it would serve you to have a guy who's a little bit more dynamic than like a traditional just drop back guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think with PJ Walker, I mean, Carolina, the Kyle Allen thing, like, I don't know if he can be practice squatted, so PJ might be practice squatted, because I know they like to keep three QBs in that room. So, you practice squad PJ, and chances are he outperforms Kyle to take that second spot. But
it's going to be Will Greer now, because Kyle Allen just got traded for a 5th round pick to the Redskins.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. More 5th round picks getting traded for some good players, some not so good players, and
save a job for Will Greer.
All right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're trying to do what you can to try to build a team with strong football players, and these XFL guys, they've proven that they can play, and the next step is to see if they can play on an NFL level. So, hopefully we see some more of those guys get opportunities next year, and hopefully, we continue to see quality football from that league. I mean, I didn't watch a ton of XFL, but it was at least fun to know that there was an option, outside of just watching NFL in the off season. So, we have anything else, guys?
When does Jameis Winston sign with the Chargers?
Never.
Never. How many more weeks do we have to wait for that?
Never.
Oh, man.
No, they were saying, didn't something come out about the Jags wanted him?
Somebody posted
that.
Yeah, somebody posted in our group today. Jesse posted that there was a little bit of rumblings that they were going to be signing him.
Yeah, go and let Go and let him go to the Jags.
At this point, I don't even know who signs Jameis Winston. like you can't let Jameis Winston not get signed and play for a team. Like there are much worse. I mean, as much as we were just like having fun talking about Kirk Cousins and having fun talking about Matthew Stafford and all these dudes, like Jameis Winston just threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. 30 picks.
33.
But 30 touchdowns.
But he's not far off from Matt Stafford, right?
Right.
If
Their trajectory.
If Tampa really believed in him, he'd be in Tampa forever, right?
Right.
He'd be winning some games, getting you better than you were.
Yeah.
But they got a chance to get a real quarterback, a proven winning quarterback. It's an easy move, right?
Do you think that he could go back to Tampa on a small deal, like you're gonna back up Tom Brady because he's Tom Brady, but then we'll give you a shot afterwards? Like, do you think that's even possible?
I mean, I guess technically, but what's the point?
Not from
they
like
made their
ego
choice,
standpoint.
right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, if nobody's gonna give you a shot and you go back to Tampa and you're like, look, because I
why
heard
don't you just go to like New Orleans,
yeah,
somewhere like that?
Yeah, or like if that's on the table for you, sure. But like I heard that they weren't out on Jameis Winston. They were out on the idea of paying him Tom Brady money when you could get Tom Brady.
Right.
If Jameis Winston would have came out and said like, "Hey, I'll sign with you guys for $20 million," I'm sure they probably would have signed him and not even waited to see if they could get Tom Brady, just based on the youth, based on like you've been in the system. We can try to work things out. But if you have to, play this game and potentially pay him 25, 30, 35 million, they were like, nah. So once they had the opportunity to get Tom Brady, then, they jumped on it.
But you wouldn't go back after you just got...
No, you can't.
Yeah, but there's plenty of places if they really wanted a backup, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
Seattle, I think, would be a good landing spot.
Is it a backup? Is it a backup or bust? Like, do you think that he has a chance to start?
Well, I think if you're going to look at quarterbacks, he's got to be given a shot to be a backup. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be.
Right.
But, like, I don't know if he actually could be an NFL backup.
Yeah.
I think it takes a different mentality. And I don't know if he's got it or not. Hard to tell. He's started since he was a freshman at Florida State. He did the red shirt stuff behind E.J. Manuel. But one person I don't think can be a backup in this league is Cam Newton.
Nah,
he got to start somewhere, or I don't know if he's going to be able to be a backup.
We could bring him to San Diego.
Yeah, if you want to start him.
Short term.
Like,
yeah, I'll start Cam over Tyrod.
Yeah, just one year.
Yeah,
one year
short
in a team
deal.
option or something like that.
That makes the most sense to me. I mean, just thinking about the quarterback layout, like, he's not going to go to Washington. Like, he's not going to go back to Ron Rivera. Like, that's not happening. Like,
they already have too many.
The whole East Coast is pretty locked up on quarterbacks. You could, he has to start, so he's not going to go back up to Sean. He's not going to go back up Russell. He's not going to.
What if he went to Denver?
They already got Drew Lock,
though.
I think that they're
about
pretty...
like these speedy quarterbacks in what could be the AFC West.
Okay, let's play a game. Let's play a game. So I'm going to give you a team that potentially has a quarterback need, and you're going to tell me yes or no on Cam. And we'll do the same thing with Jameis. So Carolina's out. Chicago is out because of Nick Foles. Cincinnati's presumably going to get Joe Burrow. Next one would possibly be Jacksonville.
I could see him there, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah. Jamar?
For Cam?
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't go there. I hope he would come to San Diego or LA over Jacksonville. Jacksonville can get Jameis. They can get Jameis. That's how I feel about that.
Jamar's making compromises for these NFL teams. Kyle.
Yeah, I could see either of those two there.
Okay.
I could see Cam there.
Okay.
Gardner Minshew's not proven for anything.
Yeah.
Except for his little mustache.
Epic mustache.
They're cool stories, but like you still gotta win.
So oh my god, NFL.com already updated the Rams shitty logo. Okay,
it's updated on this paper that I printed out earlier today. That's what got me talking about it, because I was like, man, what What? That's the Chargers logo, man. Look at this. That's the Chargers logo.
Let's see this.
I mean,
if you put the word LA in the Chargers logo,
with
that's
lightning bolt.
Right.
Yeah,
that's it.
Some biters.
All right, so Los Angeles Chargers. I know Jamar's answer. He wants Cam there.
I guess I don't know. Like
Short
over Jameis, yes, absolutely. Short term, sure. Just because I don't have that much faith in Tyrod, but
okay,
sure.
Any objections to LA?
Okay.
All right. I've heard some rumblings about this team, but I don't think that this team is going to want either one of them. Miami Dolphins, I don't think that they're in the market to have...
Drafted someone.
Yeah, like...
Playing Fitzpatrick, I'm drafting someone.
Exactly. Like, I mean, does anybody think that either one of these guys can end up...
Fitzpatrick's their guy right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's the perfect... He's the perfect I don't want to win quarterback. Like, he's going to give you enough excitement. He's going to give you enough... Like, he's the antithesis of Teddy Bridgewater. They're both going to win you some games. Some of them that they might not be expected to win. Like, I think Teddy Bridgewater takes that team to 6 to 7 wins, and they're going to be like, why did we start this guy? Like, I don't know why Ryan Fitzpatrick took them to a win against New England in the last game, but they did. And so he's going to win you some games, and then he's going to be exciting, and then also he's going to throw it to the other team sometimes, and you're going to lose and be in the opportunity to get your next quarterback.
I think they're a draft the future, hang on to what you got, not pay a guy.
Yeah. So this is a big one. Patriots. Either Jameis or Cam, do you see them going to New England?
I don't see either of them in that system or on that team.
I love the story that you mentioned in the last podcast of like, hey, I'm gonna steal your guy and we're gonna compete against you, but I think that's only a story.
It's a bold strategy if you're gonna take Jameis Winston and try to do that.
Yeah,
I just think it would be fun, but like it doesn't match up skill set wise. It doesn't match up with what they've done historically. Like, I can't see a team that wants to do everything right, wants to make sure that everybody's buttoned up, wants to make sure to take care of the football, and get a guy who steals crab legs, eats W's, and throws picks every single game. Like,
from what I hear about that system, it's not all that easy.
Yes.
So I think that they like the idea. They just brought in Hoyer. They brought him back.
Mm-hmm.
They have Stidham, who supposedly they like, for all that you can say.
Mm-hmm.
I think they ride one of those guys in and hope that the system outweighs it.
From a system stance, like from the football experts, where do these two stand versus like a Jacoby? Because Jacoby was brought in there. Jacoby was brought into that system. It was, they let him go.
They drafted him as a 3. I think he was there for a couple of years.
And, there was, he started a couple of games for him. But, like, where, does he have a similar style as these two guys that could potentially push these two guys into New England? Like, that New England has that option open for him.
So, I think Jacoby Brissett was in a spot where they had a lot of pro-style concepts at NC State. He played a lot of games, had a lot of starts, and when he got his opportunity, he was a guy who took care of the football, a guy who makes relatively quick reads, and a guy who has enough mobility. He has enough arm strength. With these two guys, they're two guys who have led, big time drives. They have high, IQs, but trust in their arms, trust in their athleticism. Jacoby Brissett is more of the player who has a limited ceiling as far as athleticism goes. So he relies more on his IQ and intellect and knowing the system. And those two guys are, I can learn the system, but like I just think I'm better than you. So I'm going to try to extend myself to make plays. And I think that that's where the fit wouldn't work, just because the New England way is not quarterback make plays for us. It's get the ball to the right guy at the right time, and then the offense and the game flow will manufacture points and yards and all of those things.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and McDaniel's career is kind of going to be on this.
Mm-hmm.
If he's able to turn something out with one of those two at quarterback, either Hoyer or Stidham,
Mm-hmm.
he might be in line for a head coaching job again.
Right.
And supposedly the New England job will be his. But let's say it was all Tom Brady,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just kind of helping. Then he's really going to be in trouble.
Oh, we'll find out, right?
And you don't want to go down with Jameis
Mm-hmm.
when you already know what he is.
Yeah.
At least you'd be able to trust a guy like Hoyer, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or however much they like Stidham.
Yeah. I think the last team that is feasible, and only in certain people's mind, would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you guys think about?
Are those certain people you?
Hey. So we talked about it before, and Ben Roethlisberger 2 years ago was just about to be done with football. He was in a spot where he was sick of Antonio Brown, at least allegedly. We saw how that worked out. Sick of how things were kind of going. Wasn't really mentally wanting to go through the grind, and was basically ready to consider retirement until people started talking about Mason Rudolph being the future, and them trying to get a new quarterback. And then he hit the brakes, and I think his ego got into I'm gonna be done when I'm gonna be done. You guys aren't gonna tell me we're gonna groom the next guy, even though he had openly said, I don't know if I'm gonna keep playing. So at that point, it was kind of the end of the road. He was turning the ball over a little bit more. They were being less successful. Now, after an injury, you've seen the photos, you've seen the videos. I don't want to say that a guy who's an NFL player can't get into shape before an NFL season starts, but he looks out of shape. He looks a little bit disinterested in wanting to at least prove to people he really cares about this. He kind of seems like he's going through the motions, and I don't know him or know his life like that, but I don't look at him and see okay, this guy can come back and lead our franchise for a couple of more strong years. It seems like he's just kind of hanging on right now. So if that's the case, do you consider a Cam Newton, who had a similar skill set to young Ben Roethlisberger, who, if healthy, can still win you games? Or consider a Jameis Winston, who, albeit a lot of interceptions, plays very, very similarly to Ben Roethlisberger in, standing in the pocket, throwing the ball down the field in a very high volume passing offense. Could you go back to old Steeler way, run the ball, pound it with James Conner, the other backs that they have there, maybe draft a guy, get the ball out to Juju Smith-Schuster, hopefully Cam Newton can recapture that early magic, or just continue as you've been doing with throwing the ball all over the field, albeit this time with Jameis Winston? I think either one of those players can fit there if you decide that Ben Roethlisberger is not your guy anymore.
I think you could see both of it. Shape for Ben Roethlisberger has always been a circle.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been really a guy who looked like he was in the weight room, getting ready, running his sprints.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always who he was.
Right.
But I think if he were to decide, I'm not coming back, or I can't come back with the elbow injury, I think you could see it. At first you told me that, I was like, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. But, you look into it, I think it's you could see it.
Yeah.
I think, like we said, for Cam, it has to kind of be a situation where Ben leaves first. Mm-hmm. If Jameis is willing to, take that $8 million a year backup quarterback role, I for sure see it, and I think it's a great. It's an upgrade from Mason Rudolph for sure. A lot of people are down on. A lot of people are down on Jameis, but he is a stat patter, but he can also throw the ball. He can huck it. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's to the other team, but it's he can still throw it. So I would upgrade my backup for sure if he's willing to go.
Mm-hmm. And he could potentially start for you in the future if
things
work out well. He's still, I still think he's 27 years old or something like that. So
yeah, I agree. Jameis, I could see there as a backup or eventually starting for them, depending on how Big Ben works out. Cam, I don't really see it too much.
See him on Chargers.
Would Cam? Well, I guess they can't. They're riding the Trubisky train. Would Cam have made more sense in like a Chicago or
pre-Foles trade?
Pre-Foles,
pre-Foles trade. Yeah, I think everybody kind of considered that was a trade destination or signing destination.
Well, that's what I didn't get. Like with the whole, because there were the trade talks of him going to Chicago, but like, if you didn't give him the trade, nobody else, they were going to cut him in 2 weeks. Like, that's why I feel like there was no need for any team to trade for Cam, because you knew they were going to cut him this week. Right. So, like, if you really wanted him, you just had to wait.
But you could flip a 6th-round pick out there and say, hey, take him.
Right. Yeah. Well, I also think that you're right, Tony, but on the flip side, if you do the flip a 6th-round pick, because I know you're going to release something, you have him at $19 million this year. Like, I don't know if he's going to ask for more or he even can afford to ask for more. He might not even be able to afford to ask for more. But, like, what if you sign him for a $16 or $17 million a year deal with all of the type of built-in caveats of like, if you get us to the playoffs, this is this escalator, or if you make the, and then he makes those, and then all of a sudden you had to pay him $27 million when you had him on a $2 million dead cap hit $19 million deal that you could have traded for a 6th, 7th pick. I'm sure people looked into it. I mean, these are NFL GMs, but like, I think that might come back to bite somebody if they sign him to a deal and you have all these escalators and incentives and he hits them because he's a good player still. You're going to look at like, maybe we should have thrown out that 7th-round pick for him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, guys. I mean, I think next time we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about these NFL teams. We'll do a little bit of prognosticating about what teams could be in the playoff picture. Now we're going to have to entertain 7 playoff teams on a 16 game schedule, which will be very interesting. It could shake a lot of things up. And then in the coming weeks, we'll do a little bit more discussion on some individual team breakdowns. Kyle and I will be doing some individual player breakdowns, so you'll see some of those. If you guys have anything that you guys want to hear discussed, you can always email in at thepaydyrtprofile@gmail.com or talk to us on any of our social medias, as we already stated earlier in the pod. So until next time, this is Dante,
Tony,
Jamar,
and Kyle,
and we're out.